right, thanks everybody for sharing. That's awesome. All right, cool. So tonight, depends on where you are, I want to talk about energy. I am always blown away and amazed by the power of energy. So think of this as to kind of like frame this conversation. Think about when you enter a room and something feels off, or it could feel really great in the room, or if you're like meeting up with a friend and before he or she even opens their mouth, you get the sense that something's wrong. There's that, you can just feel like something's off, right? That's the power of energy. So our whole world is one big energetic conversation. And that's a truth that we can really capitalize on when we think about what that means. When we pay attention to the energy we put out, which is almost always reflected back to us by the energy we receive, you can really capitalize on that for things that might otherwise be challenging to be easier, to go more smoothly, or this is when like coincidences start to happen, right? Easy to write them off as coincidences, but what we put out, we get back. So if you think about it that way of, when something just feels off, when something in your gut feels a little weird, or someone's energy is angry or really excited or over the top, sometimes you can feel like overwhelmed by people, or like I'm trying to think about, this was several years ago. I was taking a bunch of items to a recycling center, and there was a guy there who was just so over the top energy, like loud, and he just spoke he wasn't like angry or anything, but he was just super like hyped up, like not in like an excited way, but just like over the top hyped up. And I remember wanting to like take care of my business there as fast as possible because I was so rattled by him, that when I got back in the car, it literally probably took me over an hour to like settle my energy. And I was intentionally doing like energy grounding exercises and trying to pull my energy back into my body. It was just so completely thrown out of my body because I was so jarred by the volume of his voice, and he was just really kind of obnoxious energy, for lack of a better description. So it was like, it threw me off for like a good hour. Or like think about this too, like if you're watching a scary movie, or if if you have a near miss in the car that you almost get into an accident, and you feel yourself like, oh my God, like it throws your energy right out of your body. We need that energy to come back into our body so we can reground and center and get back focus and become present again. So when you think about that power of energy, how the whole world is an energetic conversation, you want to pay really close attention to the energy you're putting out there. So if you're someone who tends to sort by the negative, I can sometimes be someone who sorts by the negative. It doesn't mean it's a bad trait. It's just how you tend to think. And so by that I mean, if someone presents an idea to me, I tend to think of the reasons why it won't work first instead of the reasons it will. And it can sound like I'm being a pessimist in that regard, but really, I'm just thinking about like, that's just how I process it, right? That's how I break down the idea. But that's something I want to be cognizant of, because I don't want that beautiful energetic force that's out there ready to support me to think for a second that I think everything is difficult or challenging or anything like that. So it's when you think about how things are going to be, like if there's something that you need to do, if there's a project you're in the middle of that feels overwhelming, or if there's if there's anything that you have coming up, and it can be little, it can be like, I'm getting together for dinner with a friend and I want to make sure my energy is really present and excited and plugged in so we can be connected and not be distracted. So like I met with some friends for dinner this past Friday night, and on my way there I had a little bit of a drive. It was a little bit over an hour. And so, I listened to some music, I listened to some podcasts, but I also, like the last 15 minutes of my drive, I very intentionally was bringing myself back to center, was getting grounded, was imagining sitting at the table with them and catching up, and was kind of like intending for it to be a really lovely evening, which it was. So I got my energy ready for the night so I could show up, be present with them, and kind of honor the time we had together. So, and it was a really great night. So it's, there's so much you can do with energy. Another great example is, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Abraham Hicks or Jerry and Esther Hicks, about this idea called segment intending. So this is something that when you have something coming up in your life, it can be a job interview, it might be a difficult conversation you need to have with someone. Melissa and I are going to court tomorrow for the whole tiny house contractor fiasco. That's something, anything at all that you have coming up that you are a little bit anxious about, a little bit tentative about, you can do this exercise called segment intending that helps to set you up for success, for as positive of an experience as possible. And so what it is like, I'll use the example of the court case tomorrow. So I plan on doing some segment intending. You can either do it in your mind or you can write it out. And if you write it out, it's not very long. What you're doing is you are describing how the event unfolds, how it goes, in a way that is ideal, right? So for instance, I'm just going to do this off the top of my head, so bear with me while I figure out where I'm going to go. So for the court case tomorrow, for instance, I might write down something like, I wake up in the morning after a good night's rest. I feel awake and alert. I have a healthy, energizing breakfast. We arrive at the courthouse 15 minutes early. We both like what we're wearing and we feel comfortable and confident. We have all of our evidence and materials prepared and ready, and they're organized in an easy to understand fashion, so we'll be easily able to access whatever the judge needs or the magistrate needs. We show up, the other party shows up, we're amicable and we're cordial to one another, and on and on. That's just an example. So we'll go on and on to we easily present our case. We do so in a charge-neutral fashion, matter-of-factly, all the facts are lined up, and the day ends with us receiving the judgment we hope for, and the other party easily and efficiently pays us what we're due. So again, off the top of my head, kind of ramping here, but that's an example of segment intending. So I'll be more particular when I do it, where I will describe how everything goes from the time I open my eyes in the morning until the end of the court case. And that will set up my energy so I'll be present, calm, and centered. Now, for me, I'm not sure how Melissa feels, but I'm excited for the court case tomorrow. Might be a little bit strange, but I feel like I don't feel angry at the other person. I feel like I'm prepared. We have our evidence. We're being completely 100% honest, so there's no fear of we're going to lie in court. Like, we're totally being honest, and we have all of our ducks in a row, and I don't feel any anger toward this guy. And I hope we're just going to get it figured out. So I'm excited to just have this stage behind us. Melissa might be nervous. I don't know that. I'm making this up. So her segment intending would look different than mine, right? So hers might be more about, I'm able to take some deep breaths and calm my energy down, to get rid of the nerves, etc. So think about what you have coming up and how can you intentionally line your energy up to set you up for success. And this is, as kind of like woo-woo and airy-fairy as this can sound, this is science. That's why I love energy work so much, because it is proven. For those of you who know me, I love a blend of science and spirituality. Like, I love the idea of spiritual concepts, but I also love the idea of the science behind the concepts. And with energy, it is proven that our bodies respond differently to different, oh, what is the word? When something prompts you, or work with me, Melissa. She's like, I don't know what you're trying to say. Initiators, whatever. Y'all know what I mean. So, our body responds to different... shit, it's going to drive me nuts. Our bodies respond to different... I'm going to say prompts. Not at all. Motives. Could be, Tamron, thank you. Different motives. But our bodies can respond differently. Even our body language, like when you stand up and put your shoulders back versus slouching them, and if you smile when you talk instead of frown, like you can feel stimuli. Thank you, Tamra. That is the word. I knew my people would pull through for me. Yes, our bodies respond differently to different stimuli. And let me just pause there for a second. How great of a word is that, stimuli? Like, that's a cool-ass word. Anyway, thank you, Tamra. That's a great word. But yeah, when you think about that, it's like, whew, you can feel the difference in your body. And that's what I love about kind of the science behind it. Like, sitting there right now, like, just even put a smile on your face and you will feel your body shift and change. It's like they say, you can't be in a bad mood if you're smiling. It's kind of true, right? Because just putting a smile on your face can change, the kind of hormones in your body and the dopamine levels and the serotonin. And so when you're up against something that feels aggravating or challenging, or you're really pissed off about something, like even changing the language that you use to describe the situation you're in can shift how the whole thing plays out for you. So if someone annoys you a little bit, but you find yourself saying, oh my God, I cannot stand that person, they really pissed me off, and God, I could just kill them. Stop and go, wait a minute, is that really true? Did they just annoy me a little bit? Or am I really that angry at them? Like, have a little check with yourself. Your body is going to respond to the stimuli that you give it, or the stimulus that you give it, right? So I'm sure you've all heard the idea of you can think about being chased by a lion, or you could really be being chased by a lion. Certain biological components in your body are going to react the same, whether it's happening or not, based on how vivid your imagination is. So we want to make sure, because our minds can have that much control over our bodies, let's be really careful about what the stimuli is that we're inputting, right? So we can control our energy a little bit of like, all right, I'm just a little bit annoyed at that person. I'm not all like riled up and fired up and feeling really angry. I'm a little bit annoyed. And right away you can feel your energy change. So I'm curious to hear from some of you, like if you're sitting there and you suddenly put a smile on your face, or you reframe something that you're feeling, let me know in the comments if you're feeling anything differently, or if you can sense any kind of change off of it, or me here talking at you or talking with you, like, can you get any sense of my energy off of me? Like, what kind of vibes are you getting? What kind of messages are you getting? I ask you this to have you practice tapping into being able to read energy, because we all can do it. Some people are more sensitive than others, but everyone can get a sense of someone's energy. So take a little check-in and let me know while I look in the comments here and take a sip of my mango iced tea. Melissa, did you see Sasha said hi? Yeah. Oh, good, we got some more gratitudes. Wendy, I'm grateful for a job that gives me paid time off so I can be home today to watch you. I love that, Wendy. Yay, I'm glad you're here too. Sarah, yes, that happens at the grocery store sometimes. For me too, Sarah. The grocery store can be tricky for me. Man, any place where there's crowds, I'm really sensitive to energy. Like, I'm very empathic. So, places like the grocery store, yes, can be difficult for me, just because there's so many different people and so many different energies, which is why I intentionally try to go during quiet periods, mainly because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time there, but also, man, if I'm there on like a Saturday afternoon, I can get nasty fast because I'm just picking up on everyone's energy. So yeah, grocery stores can be tricky. any place where there's a lot of crowds, fairs or festivals. Yes, Kathy, earlier than expected. Yeah, I sent out a note to let you know I was coming on earlier today. Tamron, I'm taking the California bar next week. It's exciting. Tuesday and Wednesday. And I'll need to protect myself from all the anxious energy of the other bar takers. Oh my gosh, yes, that's a great point. I need a protective energy bubble. Prayers appreciated. You got 'em. Also, we'll pray for your success at court. Thanks, Tamron. Yeah, Tamron. So that's actually, I'm so glad you said that, because that leads me to another aspect of energy management, which is so important. So when you're going to a situation like you're going to take this exam, and like you said, you could be like over the moon confident with it, but if there's anxiety in the people around you, that can be tough. So just like you said, that protective energy bubble, sometimes I will imagine like this blue bubble of light around me, and that's like my spiritual shield. It's very soft and beautiful and pliable, so it's not harsh, like I'm not sending out harsh energy, but I feel really held and safe and protected. That would be a perfect time to use something like that, Tamron, when you go into that exam for those 2 days. I would encourage you to get there like 10 minutes earlier than you had planned. So even if you had planned on being there 15 minutes sooner, make it 25 minutes. Spend that time in your car. Do some deep breathing. Do that energy grounding exercise that I've done on these Facebook Lives before, where you just kind of close your eyes and envision like where your energy is in your body, like how far, if it's far out of your body, can you pull it back in, like to really ground and center yourself. So deep breathing works wonders for that. Very intentional, like, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, for a count of 4. But yeah, definitely give yourself extra time before the bar each day to just let yourself have that grounding time and to imagine yourself with that beautiful bubble of protection around you. And good luck. Oh my God, I'm excited for you. You're going to do great. Sarah, I'm feeling lighter. I feel calmer vibes right away. Cool, yeah. Hey, Amy Conroy. Welcome. Yeah, man, it's just, it is some powerful stuff, this energy thing. Now, I wrote about this for those of you who might be watching me for the first time. Oftentimes when I do these Facebook Lives, I am piggybacking off of the topic that I wrote about in my previous week's newsletter. My newsletter comes out every Thursday. And again, you can go to kerryrichardsson.com to sign up for it. And so I talked about, in the newsletter, I had talked about this universal dance. That, those times when you're feeling like you're really in the flow, when things are just like moving along and things are falling into place. And it's like, man, that was so much easier than I thought. Like you get into that flow place where it just feels amazing. That's that universal dance, as I call it, where you're just kind of in partnership with that beautiful force that's always available to support you. You might call it God, you might call it the universe, you might call it, Buddha, whatever you call it. There is this spiritual force out there that is the energy field that wants to dance with you as you move toward your goals. Here's the important thing to remember is that beautiful force doesn't particularly care for lip service. So action is always your dance step. Talking about doing something doesn't trigger the same engagement as action does. So you can take, and it can be a small step. It doesn't have to be anything like huge or earth-shattering. Any small step, sorry, my allergies, my nose is like going nuts. Any small step toward what it is you're trying to accomplish invites that universal force to come in and support you. You need to invite it in. It needs to know that you want its help. Some people call it their guides, their spiritual team. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's just what it is for you that you call it. But when you invite that powerful force in to support you, you do that by taking action. And that's when you get into that feeling of the flow, where it feels like that's when coincidences happen, right? Like, oh my gosh, I just got an email about that. That's so weird. I was thinking about doing such and such. Or, if I think I want to take a cooking class, I'm going to do some research about it. And then all of a sudden, a friend shares something on Facebook about an upcoming cooking class. That kind of stuff happens not because of magic. It's really because the energy you put out there. You had this intention of wanting to take a cooking class, and had you not had that intention, you might have just looked over that friend's Facebook post, but because it was now on your radar screen, you saw it. So that's why when we put our energy towards something, our focus sharpens on whatever that thing is. So now the other important piece, let me just check, I'm not on my comment screen, so let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, Tamron, you're welcome. Kathy, Tamron, you can also ask Archangel Michael to clear, bless, and protect your energy as well. Yeah, it's beautiful too. Screen's frozen for Kathy. Is it for you, Melissa?
No.
Okay. Kathy, you probably can't hear me, but I'm going to say refresh. Amy, I've been doing a lot of work with energy, mindfulness, guided meditation. Beautiful stuff, Amy. It's powerful stuff. It really is. Like, when we can learn to manage our mind that way, and work in partnership with it instead of trying to fight against it, it's amazing. So I'd be curious to hear, Amy, how that's been working for you, working with energy, mindfulness, guided meditation. It's powerful stuff. And I think I might have mentioned this resource before, but a great meditation app that I use is called Headspace. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it. I think you can do the first 10 days free, and they're just quick 10-minute meditations. I really like it. It's just this guy's voice. There's no background music. And he has a really great way of framing things, like to get your mind to settle and to quiet and to work with it and not fight against it. So I think you can just go to headspace.com. It's a great little meditation tool. Yeah. So the other piece that I want to make sure we touch upon, and again, feel free to put any questions or any areas that you need support on in the comment section. Oh, thanks, Melissa. You just put the Headspace information in the comments for anyone who wants to have a peek. I love it. It's just an app on my phone. I subscribe now just because you get so many more options of meditation packages, but the free stuff is great too. It's just a lovely way to kind of get comfortable with meditation if it's something that you're not comfortable with. Let me just get back to my note here. Oh yeah, so here's the other important thing with energy. So now that we've talked about the power of it and how to tap into it and how to, really capitalize on it, you want to, another important thing to do to set yourself up for success when it comes with energy is to make sure that you don't have a lot of blocks in your life. And so this is where we circle the conversation back around to clutter. When your life is cluttered up with physical clutter, with emotional clutter, with digital clutter, whatever kind it is, imagine like it's, I'm going to hate to say this, but it's like a clogged artery, right? The blood can't flow through it the way it needs to. The energy can't flow through the channel as best as it should. And so if you have something that you're feeling really stuck on, sometimes a great step is to just clear some clutter. Even if it feels unrelated to the project or the task that you're up against, it is something that just gets the energy moving in your world. So do like 15 minutes or one Pomodoro round, which is a 25-minute round, on clearing some clutter. You might delete some emails, you might put away some laundry, you might do some dishes. Let's get the energy flowing. Because again, that beautiful force that wants to support you is like holding all of these gifts and opportunities in the periphery, waiting to send them to you. But if you're all cluttered up and the channels aren't open, that stuff's going to come and just get stopped. So you want to really work on clearing the clutter. And again, don't think of it as, oh my God, I have to have my entire closet cleaned out and organized before anything good's going to happen. Remember, I said any action is good action. The success is actually in the action and not in the outcome. So take 15 minutes and just clear some clutter. So think about, do a little clutter inventory of your life. Like, what is bugging you the most? Are there bills to be paid, clothes to be put away, boundaries to be set, negative inner chatter that might need some love? Just spend some time and identify one area that could use some attention and then give it to it. If you have a lot of resistance that comes up in tending to that clutter, then start with the journal, right? Write down what the resistance is saying, what the chatter is going on and on about. That ends up being the first piece of clutter that you need to clear. So once you've done some clutter clearing, whether it's of your resistance or physical items or whatever it is, now we want you to identify one small step you can take toward immediately making progress on your goal. Again, very small step. If you find yourself resistant to do it, it's probably just because the step's too big, so break it down even more. What is one small step toward that step that you could do? That's the key question I use to back into something. If I'm feeling overwhelmed by something I need to do, I'll ask myself, what is one small step I can take toward getting that done? And if whatever step I come up with, if I still feel resistance toward it, it's still too big. So I ask myself again, okay, so what would one small step be toward that step? And I keep asking that question until I back it up to a spot where I have an action step that I can knock out in 5 to 10 minutes. That gets the ball rolling. Once you get the wheels in motion, it's amazing how fast things can roll along. So again, like I said before, if you struggle to come up with an action step, fall back on clutter clearing. That will always get things moving for you. Okay. Tamara, that strategy always helps me. Awesome. Kathy, got rid of a ton of stuff, physical, including emails in June. I had no idea how much there was I could donate and share. Isn't that awesome? Like, love that, Kathy. And it's, when you do that, like, when you start to clear clutter, like, really pay attention in your life to things that just seem to go easier. Coincidences that happen, things that just seem to be like, oh my God, I was just thinking about that. Kathy, friends came over on Friday night, and even after getting groceries, my fridge looked empty. I like having so much space, though. I love that, too. I gotta say, sometimes it's great to see a full fridge, because I'm like, oh, good, I've got food for the week and meals to prepare, whatever. But then I also love to clean out the fridge and, like, see the space. Like, yeah, I take such joy in space. Hey, Lindsay. Lindsay joining us from vacay. Welcome. Just realized I need to clutter clear resistance to be artistic and to paint on the canvases I bought myself as a gift. I'm scared to mess them up. Oh my God, Kathy, I totally hear you. And I bet a lot of people would feel that same way, even those who are comfortable with creating. Actually, let me ask. Melissa, when you have a blank canvas in front of you, does that stress you out at all?
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, it just stresses her out a little bit. Stresses me out big time. Like, I am so scared to, like, put one thing down because I'm like, I'm going to totally mess this up. I don't feel particularly creative in that way. Melissa is, like, she can draw and paint and stuff. It's not my jam. But yes, like she said, it's so freaking white. It's like this blank canvas. For me, it's like, I guess it's for, like, writing, but that doesn't stress me out as much. Like, I can see a blank page and I can get some words down on it, but to get, like, paint on canvas, Kathy, totally get it. Yeah, you're definitely not the only one. That is so stressful. But then it's like, yeah, so clear the resistance. That's the clutter you need to clear first. So, do a quick little journaling session about what is the fear. Like, if you mess up the canvases, so what if your mess becomes this beautiful piece of art? Or, journal a little bit about how conditional is your love for self. Like, so what if you screw up the canvases? It doesn't mean you're a bad person, right? So, yeah, I think clearing some resistance clutter in regards to creating would be a great place to start for you. Yeah. Sarah, I still feel great from the challenge you gave us in June. I'm still going. Nice. That's the clutter clearing challenge, where you get rid of as many items a day that pertains to the date. So, like, for instance, today you'd get rid of 17 items. And Sarah kicked ass on that challenge in June and got rid of a ton of stuff, which was so sweet. Yeah, Debbie understands as well about the blank canvas. Great aunt was a professional artist. Sister does animation for movies and shows. Feel I don't measure up. Yeah, Kathy. So that's what we want you journaling on. This feeling of not measuring up, and journaling with that younger part of you who doesn't feel like enough, and think about where is it that you soar in your life, instead of looking at where you believe you lack. I bet, not that we want to look this way, but I bet that there are things that you excel at that maybe your aunt and sister would struggle with. Like, everyone has their own gifts and talents, right? So just because they're this, your aunt's a professional artist and your sister does animation, that's great. That's their channels of creativity. You might have your own. Or I guess I'd want to know, like, how interested are you even in painting? Are you doing it just as like a challenge to yourself to see if you do measure up, or is it something you really want to do? Either way, I think journaling out your resistance is the first clutter to start with. Hey, Diane, I have to start that challenge over again. Love it. Yeah, jump on it. You can jump on it today, right? Find 17 things to get rid of today. It can be 17 emails you delete. It can be 17 pieces of jewelry you don't wear anymore. It might be 17 mugs, because God knows the average household has about 100 mugs in their cabinet. Yeah, dive in today. Cool. All right, let me just check my note and make sure. I think I hit on all the points I wanted to hit on. Yeah, so capitalizing on energy to get in the dance with the universe. Like, when you're feeling stuck, frustrated, aggravated, find one small step you can take, and then you get into that universal dance. So what's so cool about that is you have the power. Every time you feel frustrated or aggravated, you have the power to stop and go, I just have to do one small thing. I don't have to finish this. I don't have to get to the end. I just need to do one small thing. I have a couple articles I need to write for some publications that want me to write about clutter, corresponding with the book that's coming out. And I think about, like, oh my God, I've got to sit down and write that. If I think about writing the article in that whole capacity, right, I have to write that article, I'm going to avoid it, right? I'm going to resist it. But if I say, you know what, I'm going to sit down and do one 25-minute round on throwing down some notes about what I might want to say in that article, like, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm not expecting myself to sit down and write it beginning, middle, and end. I'm just asking myself to sit down and throw some notes down on a page. That's something I can do. If 25 minutes feels a little too long, I'll let myself only do 15. Like, it's okay. Like, just do something, because and we've all experienced this, a task or project is always bigger in our heads than it is in execution. So I know as soon as I sit down and start to take some notes about that article, I'm going to go, well, this is going much easier than I thought. I mean, I write about clutter all the time. I know it's not going to be difficult. But if I just say, I've got to get the article over to that editor by such and such a date, it can feel overwhelming. So just keep breaking it down. So that is what I want to leave you all with. And again, any other questions, I'm going to hang on for another minute or two to answer any of your questions. But yeah, so I'm thinking this is a fun new time. Again, I don't know if 5 o'clock is always going to be the time, but I think I am going to start mixing up the time of these convos with Carrie, because I do like to just give the opportunity of people who have varying schedules, varying time zones, to jump on and participate. So I will always keep you in the loop with when it's going to be. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, good. I think I am good. I'm going to do one final check in the comments, and then I'm going to bid you all adieu. So thanks, guys, for... Oh, good, Amy. I'm glad it's been a good summer so far. Awesome. Thanks, Kathy. fingers crossed for the court case tomorrow. I will post and let you all know how it went. 10 a.m. is the session, so we shall see. So thanks everybody for coming and joining and chatting with me a little bit earlier on this Monday. Again, make sure you're subscribed to my newsletter and check me out on social media so you know what time I'm going to be doing these. I do them weekly, and they will continue to be on Mondays unless something crazy happens, and I'll let you know then. But yeah, join me on Mondays, sometimes 5 o'clock, sometimes 7:30. Might be noon, who knows. Oh, and also I wanted to say that tomorrow I will be a guest on Dougal Fraser's Hay House radio show. You can tune into that at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, hayhouseradio.com. Dougal and I chatting about my book and Clutter and the messages within it and all sorts of fun stuff. He's a blast. So he's the cosmic coach. He does the color work. Your Life in Color is his book. So tune into hayhouseradio.com tomorrow. Again, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, where I will be a guest there. Any other information about upcoming events of mine or radio appearances or book talks, you can go to my website, carrierichardson.com, and just click on calendar. I think that's everything. All right, thanks so much, guys. Really great talking with you again, and we'll see you next week. Bye.